Hello, my noble band of outlaws. Outlaw Samurai coming at you live with a video. It says I'm live on StreamYard. Is it not the 13th? We've got 2 people watching. I'm just going to check. All right. So, please write something in the comments so I know who's watching so we can get this live stream started right and episode 4 of the Outlaw Samurai Show going. Now, there are a few things that I want to talk about in this live stream. First of all, I have a script. See all scripty like. Wikipedia, you have the honor of being the first comment. There's a delay between what I do on screen and what I do in the live stream, apparently, on my phone. But, in any case, so, the thing I wanted to talk about was katana versus Grossmesser, or in this case, a Kriegsmesser. So, the katana versus the Grossmesser, or Kriegsmesser, is, I believe, kind of a fair comparison to make. Simply because they are both curved blades, single-edged curved blades. And they are pretty much the height of single-edged curved technology of their respected cultures. The Kriegsmesser, despite its size and bulk, is actually a fairly nimble blade. And that is because of the high amount of distal taper. And because I have my tools nearby, we can see just how much distal taper this sword has. Help if I turn the bloody thing on. So at the blade, we have a 0.26 distal taper, so just a hair above a quarter of an inch. Halfway up the blade, it tapers to 1.9 inches, or 0.19 inches, or 19th of an inch. 3/4 up the blade, it tapers another to a 0.15 of an inch. And all the way up at the tippity top of the blade, it tapers down to 0.08 of an inch. Now, as we turn that over to the inferior standard system, or whatever the Europeans use, because we all know American increments are the best increments of measure. I joke. Don't take me seriously. We have 6.5 filthy millimeters at the base of the sword by the guard. Halfway up, it tapers to 4.3 millimeters. 3/4 of the way up, it tapers to 3.7 millimeters. And at the very tippy tip of the blade, it tapers down to 2.2 millimeters. Almost totally missed it. No, you didn't, Tempest. I was smart enough to put a schedule on this one. And I have a script for what this live stream is debating is Katana versus Kriegsmesser. I have found out that this Kriegsmesser has a disc field taper going from 6.5 millimeters at the base, tapering down to 2.2 millimeters by the tip. Now we will do the Katana. Now, before anyone says it's not a fair comparison just simply because of the thickness of this sword, it is a fair comparison because they're both 1055 steel and they're both made by Cold Steel. What's up, Tempest? Gigapedia saying hi to Tempest. Now I shall switch this back to the superior American system of measurement, and we will get sent a photo. Sorry. I had to answer a text from a friend of mine whose official name for this channel is Outlaw Juggalo. And before you ask, yes, he is a juggalo. Stupid phone updates. I know this isn't very professional of me to check my phone in the middle of a live stream. But we shall go back to the live stream now. So, this sword, the Katana, is 0.34 of an inch. So, a little over 3/4 of an inch thick at the base. Halfway up the blade, it tapers down to 0.30 inches of the blade. And thank you, Tempest. I know it's my show, but I still feel bad and a little unprofessional checking my phone in the middle of a live stream. So about right here, halfway down the blade, is about 0.30 of an inch, or 0.30th of an inch. It then tapers down to 0.27 of an inch, 3/4 of the way down, and then at the very tippy tip, it tapers down to 2.4 of an inch, so just under a quarter. So back to the inferior non-American measurements. Filthy millimeters. Again, I joke. Don't judge me. It's a whopping 9 millimeters at the base. Halfway up the blade, it tapers down to 7.7 millimeters. 3/4 up. 6.9, and at the very tippity tip, 6.3. So if my math is correct, it means it has about a 3% disc taper. Now, as I said at the beginning of the live stream, these swords, in my opinion, are the absolute pinnacle of the single-edged sword variety of their respective cultures. European, Japanese. Well, more specifically, German Japanese. Now, what does the Kriegsmesser have in advantage over the katana? Well, quite frankly, despite its size, despite the hilt and the pommel, this I believe is an actual solid steel pommel. But despite the crossguard, despite the noggle on the other side, and despite its overall appearance, it's actually severely lighter than the katana. I'd say this weighs about half as much as the Warrior O. And you may be wondering, Outlaw, you can't compare these two because they're obviously two different. Again, both made by Cold Steel, both 1055 steel. So they're made by the same manufacturer, but Cold Steel does have a tendency to match historical measurements to a degree. And I know that these two swords are very... This damn mirror effect won't drive me completely insane. And I know these two swords are very different in their construction. However, it's fair to compare them as single-edged swords. And even though this is lighter by far than the katana, it does have a number of advantages. For one, it does not have a shinogi line or any kind of ridge line in the blade. It is a straight taper from spine to edge, which is very much a similar geometry to the Unokubizukuri. If we were to take this ridge line out, this thing would be even more devastating than it already is. But because of the much more aggressive distal taper on this Kriegsmesser, it's actually far more nimble in the hand than the katana. And because of its lack of a central ridge, it's far more smooth in the cut. I haven't cut with this sword a whole lot, but when I do remember cutting with it, it was actually very smooth, and I was amply surprised on how well it cut. I even was able to do a krunpao with this sword, which I think this is the first sword I ever actually successfully did a krunpao with. And I'm probably glitching out the hell, aren't I? Now, on the other end of the spectrum, the Cold Steel Warrior O Katana is by no means, at least in my hands, I would say any less nimble. It's just a lot more physically demanding. And because of its much less, because of the much less, I can't really figure out where Tempest, I wish you could grammar correct me over the live stream. But because of the fact that this sword has far less distal taper than the Kriegsmesser, this is a much more chop and heavy cutting blade. And because it does have a central ridge line that will produce drag as it's being swung through a target. So, in terms of handling these swords, what I can say most definitely is, in terms of what I would use these swords for is I would definitely consider this a much more I'm having a brain fart here, excuse me. I would consider the uh, Kriegsmesser more of a dueling sword. Like if I was to enter a duel with somebody, this is the sword I would pick versus pretty much any of the other swords in my collection, honestly. And there are a few reasons. It does stem from the wide crossguard and it does have the noggle. So this has the most hand protection of any of my swords. Not to mention, because of how light this sword is overall, I'd be able to keep it moving with using far less physical endurance than I would have to use with the cold steel. The cold steel, if I was to take this into a duel, I would be resting it on my leg. I would be in wrath guard most of the time. I would be in positions where the weight of the sword is not directly being supported by my arms. Of course, this does leave yourself open, especially when you're coming out of wrath guard. It would leave yourself open because while this side of my body is protected by the blade, it leaves my shoulder, my arm. I mean, every guard has its drawbacks, but this one I feel demands to be let rest in wrath guard far more often than this. This I could simply rest like this. I could elongate this into saber grip for longer periods of time. And the cross guard also gives a Dark Souls mode. I don't exactly know what Dark Souls mode means, Tempest. I've never played it. But I would have the Kriegsmesser out extended forward like this in saber grip. And because of the crossguard and the noggle, if for some reason this is going to be a cringe moment for some, but and these are the spines of the swords, if our blades were to cross like so and slide down, then I have this noggle and this quillon protecting me, which I could then bind around and push off an opponent's blade and work my way out of that bind. So in a dueling situation, I'm taking the Kriegsmesser because of its lightweight, its pretty much ease of use, and the hand protection it offers, and the fact that I could swing both one-handed and two-handed if I needed to. The really heavy blades that everyone has on their shoulder because the blade they have is too heavy. Okay, thanks, Tempest. Hey, dude, I'm going to head out because I'm going to get some sleep. I've done a bit today, but I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, me and Geekopedia are going to go see Cocaine Bear. And Geekopedia, before you leave, I am planning on bringing my filming equipment so you and me can do a review over Cocaine Bear after we've seen it at the movie theater. Last movie we went to was Dragon Ball Superhero in full, cosplay. Well, Geekopedia went minus his wig. But yeah, if I was going into a judicial dueling scenario, I would pick the Kriegsmesser just simply because of the fact that it offers more advantages in a 1v1 fight than pretty much any of my other swords. Plus, because it is single-edged, if I had to, I could smack my opponent's blade down like this, and then quickly like go for the neck like so. So smack down and neck. On the other side of the spectrum, what I would take this sword into. I would take this into a war zone, to be quite honest with you. And what I mean by a war zone is, sorry, I forgot to wrap these up. What I mean by a war zone is a medieval battlefield. Because this, in my opinion, is a war sword. This is a sword that is pretty much made for war and battle. So I would take this into a war zone where in a war zone I would have armor covering my body more than likely. I would at least have some kind of gauntlet. I feel like I would be a very lightly armored individual. I'd have a brigandine, a open-faced helmet, some kind of simplistic gauntlet that protects the back of my hand, my fingers, and my forearm, and pretty much just very light to midly armored. So with a gauntlet on, I wouldn't have to worry about hand protection as much. And while this Suba does give me some hand protection, it's nowhere near as protective as historical Subas. Because historical Subas, if we're being honest, the Subas we get on swords today are literally designed for wakazakis or wakazashis. These Subas were usually on wakazashis. The ones on katana were about twice as big. The only sword I have with a Suba close to an historical size would be this Scorn katana. As you can see, this Suba is more historically sized. Giving me a lot more hand protection than the Cold Steel. But there is an advantage to the Cold Steel that the Scorn katana is very much lacking. And that, well, I'll let you guess. What could possibly be the disadvantage that this sword lacks? I'll give you a moment. Length. Length is the disadvantage that this sword lacks. Not this sword, the other sword. This is much longer. This is actually the longest sword I have. And that's one of the reasons why I love this thing, because of its size. But this is a much longer sword than the Scorn katana. Which, the Scorn katana does have a good length blade, but this one's longer. And with the longer reach comes the fact that I can keep my opponent at bay farther away from me. And because of the reach and I being able to keep the opponent away from me, that's why I would take this sword into a battlefield, aside from the fact of its construction and its cutting power. Because if I'm fighting an opponent in even lighter armor than I am, and here's the thing about Tempest, you'd be most at home on a medieval battlefield. I could just see you, like, if you got isekai'd into Lord of the Rings, you're just wielding Glamdring in one hand, Orcris in the other hand, and looking at the orcs and saying, "Oh, it's on, motherfuckers!" Just Tempest, the high elf, just slashing his way through with double swords. I'd be that dwarf. I honestly would be closer to a dwarf in the way I fight. I needed a drink. If you're even still on, Tempest, I know my ranting and raving has probably turned you off. You can see I have very little self-confidence in myself. But yeah, if I'm fighting someone in lighter armor than I am, this is going to punch through any kind of brigandine. Well, not a brigandine. This will punch through pretty much any kind of gambeson that is put before me. I feel very confident in the acuteness of this thing's tip, that it would be able to just break apart riveted mail. Not the chainmail we have today. That's junk. That's garbage. Real, authentic medieval chainmail was forged and riveted and tightly woven together to the point where you could barely get a hypodermic needle through the shit, let alone a sword blade. That is precisely why a sword geometry like the Italian, like this cold steel Italian longsword. I'm not a fan of dual wields in a fight with multiple opponents on, and not Orchrist, but definitely Glamdring. Okay, but Orchrist is mine. Okay, no take backsies. Orchrist is mine then. Have some confidence, you're doing good. Thanks, Tempest. My lack of self-confidence coming from a lot of bullying through high school. And I may be 23 now, but that shit sticks with you for a while. But that's exactly why blade geometries like the cold steel Italian longsword was invented. These punch through the holes in chainmail. Okay, Orchrist is yours. Yay! Come here, you orcish bastards! But in any case, been there too. I was going to say, you from your shorts, you're too damn cool to get bullied. And I'm not stupid enough to start the way you swing steel. But yeah, that is precisely why blade geometries like the Italian longsword was invented. It was invented to get through the gaps in chainmail. And because of narrow blades like that, that's why you see a lot of swords like this on actually not even medieval battlefields. This is a Renaissance era sword from the 1500s through the 16 and 1700s. This would be a Renaissance era blade, I believe. Matt Easton and Schola Gladiatoria is a lot better informed than I am, and it is hot in this bitch. Oh, I need some air over here. But yeah, the Renaissance is where these swords, or the 14th century, somewhere in that 300-year time span is where these swords took over the European battlefield because of their ability to punch through armor. Well, not through steel plate, but through chainmail. But back to Katana versus Kriegsmesser. I feel confident that something like this would be able to punch through chainmail just because of the fact that it's basically a crowbar with an edge and that my whole body weight would be pushing it through the chainmail. This would definitely cut through a padded gambeson, I'm feeling. I could definitely sever someone's arm or leg with this thing if I swung full force. And because I'm armored myself, I feel a lot more confident just letting the sword do the fighting for me, whereas in a judicial duel, sometimes in judicial duels, you wouldn't be issued armor. You may be given like a padded gambeson or a thick leather glove, but most of the time it was basically dress as you are. Here's a sword. Go fight the other guy. But historically speaking, judicial duels, they weren't the stereotypical, like, you besmirched my honor, sir. I demand compensation. They started out like that, but it wasn't like, haha, I have killed the scurvy knave. No. Most historical judicial duels that were legal were really just whoever scored first blood. Or that's why dueling with stuff like the small sword became very popular. And I don't actually own a small sword analog. So the crane katana will have to fill in for that. So dueling with the small sword became very popular. Especially small swords and rapiers were very popular dueling weapons because despite what people will tell you, a rapier and a small sword can cut. And if a rapier is able to get to the fleshy bits of a person's body, that being the throat, the meat of the arms, the meat of the legs, they're tricky things too. What do you mean by tricky things, Tempest? But the small sword and the rapier, they can cut, they can kill, especially since they are thrust-oriented weapons. They are capable of cutting, just not as much as a katana or any curved saber sword would be. So you would be dueling with the opponent and then snipe. You get a cut on your arm. Small sword is hard. I'm going to take your word for that. I've never fought with a small sword. I imagine small sword fencing to kind of be like that scene from from The Princess's Bride. You know, the one with Antonio Banderas. No, not Antonio Banderas. The character's name, I think, was Antonio something, but he had the famous line of, "Oh, my name is Origo Montoyas. You killed my father. Prepare to die." I don't know. I was also thinking Zorro. Like Zorro and The Princess's Bride. That's what pops into my head when I think rapier and small sword fencing. My name is Outlaw Samurai. You messed up my Taco Bell order. Prepare to die. But yeah. I have to rewrap this. But in any case, what the fuck was I even talking about? I went on a whole small sword tangent. But anyway, that's kind of what judicial duels were. They were whoever could get the first cut in or draw first blood would win the duel. They weren't duels to the death like we see in samurai movies. Well, samurai duels and European judicial duels were two different things. They weren't like duels to the death like in The Duelist or stuff like that. Princess's Bride is a much more accurate representation of how a lot of duels would go. You'd have two people fighting, exchanging blows, then they would win and honor be saved. Mandy Packinson is his name. Thanks, Tempest. I'm surprised you didn't comment, wait, you know of Princess Bride? I was like, I'm honestly surprised you didn't know, you didn't ask how I knew about a movie that came out before I was even born. Truth is, I love Princess Bride, especially the sword scenes. Princess Bride made me want to buy a rapier for a whole year when I was in middle school when I first saw it. I was just entranced by the rapier. But then I remembered Where did it go? How do I lose a whole sword? Everybody loves Princess Bride, especially swordsmen. True. But then I remembered I have one true love when it comes to swords. And that is the almighty katana, most powerful sword in the world, capable of slicing gods and demons alike. Oh my god, my inner weeaboo came out. I must quickly sheath this before my inner weeaboo turns this into an anime rant. Don't fall over. But yeah, so judicial duels in the medieval period were basically, most of the time, who could draw first blood. There were a lot of accounts that led to death, and a lot of duels, quote unquote, were just street fights. Samurai judicial duels were a different thing, because I like anime too. Pop quiz. Tempest. What anime is the sword Tensaiga from? I know any true anime fan will know this. Excuse me while I pretend to be snooty. And drink. Seriously, this is Menard's brand Dr. Pepper. Don't worry, I have a trash can by. Ding ding! Give the man a prize, George. His prize is being able to cosplay as Inuyasha at the next anime convention. Alright, that was an easy one. The next one. What anime does a giant red scissor blade appear in? It's a bit of a more obscured one. And no Google search. Hello, third viewer. Please write something in the comments. But yeah, in Japanese, judicial dueling is basically, you looked at me weird. We must fight to the death. Or at least that's how it's portrayed. Kill. Damn, you'll kill it. Wait, did you Google search? Be honest, did you Google search? You can't get the point if you Google searched it. Okay, I'm going to believe you. Because I have no way of verifying. I'm just kidding. The fact that you were able to get 2 anime swords back to back just proves you're an otaku. But yeah. And if any of the other sword guys were viewing the live stream, we were talking about Kriegsmesser versus Katana at the beginning. And then, ever heard of Gantz? I kind of feel like that would be from the anime Berserk. Is it Berserk? Is it related to Berserk? And then we got into a whole judicial dueling thing. I really need to figure out how to get some of the sword guys on this live stream. I mean, if Tempest, if you want to shoot me an email, I'll send you the link via Outlaw Samurai. I'll send you a link to join. My email is outlawsamurai47@gmail. Make sure I'm keeping up with comments. And Samurai Bird, if you're watching, a good tip is to have the live stream open on your phone so you can keep up with comments. I learned that from Team ABS, a YouTube channel devoted to Yu-Gi-Oh! But yeah. Now, let's see here. The next topic on my script. All right. You're cutting in and out bad service. Sorry, Carl Ruger. I live in the back end of Indiana, so our internet ain't that great. But the next topic for discussion on the live stream will be Vikings versus Samurai. Or more accurately, Viking sword versus Samurai sword. Now, you may be wondering, why did I switch over to the Cold Steel, not the Cold Steel, the Dragon King Winter Sun? Sorry, spelled your last name wrong. The Carl Ruger. Sorry, Tempest, but you're always spell checking me, so now I get to laugh. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're laughing at my horrible ability to spell anyway, so. I know I'm laughing at it. My horrible ability to spell, not yours. But the reason I switched over my analogs, as they were, touch. What does touch mean, or touch? Yankees. The reason I switched analogs is because of blade length. When we are comparing swords, we need to use swords of similar size, weight, and dimensions. Both of these swords have a 31 to 30 inch blade. Both of these swords appear to be relatively the same thickness. Get my calipers out. Again. Good old American inches. Yes, Tempest, the one and only. So, the Viking sword is 0.23 of an inch. At the base, that tapers to 0.23 of an inch at the middle. 3/4 of an inch up. It tapers down to 0.20 of an inch. And at the very tippy tip, 0.16 of an inch. So this actually doesn't have that much disc-fuel tapered, to be honest. And it's a stupidly stiff blade. No wonder it cut so damn well when I did the cutting video of it. Make sure that I'm completely caught up on comments. Now, this is the Dragon King Winter Sun Katana. I'm not going to do the whole millimeters thing for the blades anymore because that takes too long. And I am notoriously lazy. All right. The least distal taper of all 12 typologies. Oh, is that for Viking swords, Tempest? Dragon King knives, I have the fletching and the pine crane. Hey, Gargoyle! What's up, my brother? We were just, at the beginning of the live stream, we were talking about Kriegsmesser versus Katana, and I came to the conclusion if I was in a one-on-one duel, Kriegsmesser. If I was on a battlefield with medium to light armor, Warrior O Katana. And now we've moved on to Viking sword versus Katana. And I've switched over to the Dragon King for a more accurate comparison. Alright, so the Dragon King at the Habaki is 0.27 of an inch. Halfway down the blade, yeah, most Viking swords are type 10s. Hey, Alex. Hey, Tempest. Oh, how's everything? Making sure I keep up with comments. At the middle of the sword, it is 0.21 0.21 of an inch. Let's see. Wait a minute. To see if I can. All right, is everyone still here? If I can fix the glitching by switching over to the other internet thing we have here. All right. Have I fixed the glitching? Oh. Now, I will tell you guys this. Okay. That I have used this sword for a while. So the fittings on the blade and the blade itself may not be all that good. And if I can manage it, I did flip the Suba around so that the snow monkeys are facing out instead of under. Simply because I like the idea of if you're going to put decoration on a sword, it should be facing the blade when it's drawn so everyone can see it, not just sheathed. And also close up of the cold steel Viking sword if anyone is interested. Now, because of the fact that these swords are both extremely stiff blades, and thanks to my sharpening, extremely sharp, if I was to do a cutting video like the Silver Habaki and Seppa, I don't really know if that's silver or not. To me, it doesn't look silver, or maybe it's just tarnished. I don't know. You guys are more knowledgeable about that kind of crap than I am. A little bit of context before I do this. This is the factory edge. This is my edge. And I lined my edge up with the seam in the grip. So factory edge versus my edge. Well, this is turning. There we go. Just had to catch it right. Hey, Eric, I think that. Great to see you, bro. I think this is the first time you've ever joined my live stream, isn't it? Then we got the winter sun. The more detailed side of the Suba should be facing outwards so the people when sheathed, just saying. Yeah, I know, and that's the more historical thing to do, but personally, I feel, then this is my own personal opinion, I feel if you're going to carve anything on a sword guard, it should be out and about for people to see when the blade is drawn. That's just my personal taste. I know historically it was the reverse, but who knows? Maybe there were samurai in the period that thought the same way I do. We don't know. I'm really sorry about the whole glitching. Oh, maybe the comments show up faster. Nope, never mind. I'm really sorry about the glitching. I'm trying to moderate that. But time for comparison. The Viking sword versus the katana. Now, both of these swords have what people would call a single-handed sword blade. And that means it's a sword that generally is of a length that would be wielded one-handed. But personally speaking, this Viking sword is about, I want to say, 1.5 times heavier than the katana, making this a more nimble sword than this. And I can wield both of these one-handed just fine. But this one is definitely more of a workout for my wrists than this one is. And if I can avoid cutting the ceiling blades of my fan off, but the katana has a clear advantage over the Viking sword, and it has nothing to do with the blade or even the steel being 1055, 5160. It's that the katana has a grip that can accommodate two hands, two-handed use. So I can fight with it one-handed, like performing cuts and such. Hey all, I've been a few at work but couldn't comment. Also, I'm cutting now, so forgive the no replies, but if I get what I'm going for, this live stream audio will be over it. This live stream audio will be over. What do you mean this live stream audio will be over it? I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Eric. I can't control the glitching on this live stream. My internet's just sucky. So I apologize if you're experiencing any problems on your end. I am trying to moderate it. by being as concise and clear as I can. But as I was saying, the katana can facilitate a two-handed use. So I can fight one-handed and cut my damn fan in half. I can fight one-handed with this sword, but then turn around and use two hands. Now, not to say that the Viking sword, you can't do that as well. Because obviously, if you were to choke up to the guard and then grab this pommel, you could use this theoretically two-handed, but because of the way this pommel is shaped, with these, I guess you could call them mini quillons, it would jab into your hand and be very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable for me already. I think he's saying he's trying for a difficult cut, and if he gets it, and if he gets it, we'll all be talking. Okay. So, yeah. Sorry, Eric. I thought you were having trouble on my end. I was like, and I'm very sorry if I keep glitching on all of you. I'm trying to moderate the glitching issues. But already this feels very like it's jabbing into the meat of my hand. Hey, Samurai Bird! Nah, dude, I wasn't complaining. I'm saying I'm cutting while I listen, but only have one phone. So if I get what I'm going for, your audio will be on it. That's all. Hey, I don't care. You use my audio. You probably won't get many views because of how annoying I am, but I don't care if you use it. So as I was saying, hi, Bird, we were doing Kriegsmesser versus Katana at the beginning of the live stream. Then we talked about judicial dueling in historical European period, and now I'm doing a comparison between Viking sword and katana. I basically said with the katana, it has the advantage of a one-handed sword blade, but then I can also switch over to two hands if I need. And the Viking sword, while it can facilitate a two-handed grip, these mini quillons will jab into the meat of your palm and in between your fingers, and it's already feeling very uncomfortable. Didn't know you had a Viking sword. Cool. Yeah, I did. I thought you commented on my video unboxing and review of this sword. Well, not unboxing review. I did two separate things. But here, Bird, this is the Cold Steel Viking sword. But yeah, this is the edge I sharpened, and this is the edge that's factory. I lined my sharpened edge up with the seam, which I don't know if this goes for everyone, but I just feel better with the seam, with my fingers wrapping around the seam. Ah, okay, I remember now. I feel if I can avoid the stabbing my damn fan, I feel more comfortable with my fingers wrapping. I just woke up. Yeah, I've been there, bro. But I feel more comfortable with my fingers wrapping around the side of the grip with the seam. I don't know why, but it just feels like it gives me better traction and a better purchase. But yeah, so the two-handed grip. Careful. Yes, Tempest, I know. I really need my room. I'm in the middle of rearranging my room at the moment, getting everything organized and still picking things up and putting them away. So there's a pile of shit over here, pile of shit over there that I really need to go through. And I was planning on doing it after the live stream because I have 2 days off in a row and I tend to spend all night if I don't have to work the next morning, I tend to stay up all night. So I may have sleep apnea. I don't know. I mean, I usually just go until I collapse. But yeah, like I said, short version, it jabs into the meat of your hand. Not exactly the most comfortable feeling in the world. And Eric, could you also send me a message explaining how you're able to listen to stuff and film at the same time? Because whenever I try to do that, it either turns off YouTube or won't let me film. What do you do? What do you do as? What do you mean, Carl Ruger? What do I do as, like, a job? Well, right now I'm working. What do you do for work? Well, right now I work at Menards pushing carts all day. I was at Longtime viewers of the channel will know that I was at McDonald's for like 3.5 years before I switched to Menards in October of 2022. And right now I push carts every day, but as soon as they can find a replacement for me outside in the parking lot, I'm going to be transferred back to building materials. Hugh Bird. It's funny. Like, Hugh. That's a funny word. Hugh. Nards love that place. Upload. Nah, you alright, Gargoyle. I honestly thought you left because you got tired of my rantings. Yeah, I was talking to Tempest about me having low self-esteem issues that I need to work on. But the zombie nata! Hugh. Someone said Hugh. Yeah, Samurai Bird said Hugh. Gargoyle said hi to Samurai Bird by Hugh. I was going to say Hugh. That's a funny word, Hugh. But minus the machete blade, which I got from Walmart for this, the reflective paracord, the neon green tape, even the hickory handle that this is made from, I got from Menards. And as you can see, this is a beast of a naginata. The only problem is if I hit any kind of hard target with this, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. I think this was present even in the testing video I made. Well, now you don't want to do it. This thing will go one way or the other. The how in German can translate to hue. Krumpa. Or Krumpau. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Tempest. Hit play on the YouTube live stream again. No, what I'm saying is, like, when I'm doing a regular video, I use Android. I minimize the YouTube window, open camera, hit record, then gotta hit play on the. Oh, okay. So you gotta open up the live stream first, then like you have to open up the YouTube video first, then hit play. Like you minimize, then hit the camera, and then hit play again. Gotcha. That will help a lot when adding music to my videos, which I get a lot of copyright shit, even though I put in the description, I don't own this stuff. I'm just using it to accompany the cutting. All right. Yeah, somewhere along the line, I got behind on the comments a little. Sorry, guys. Tempest is the man for Europe swords. Learn something new with him. Yeah, I learned that he is on the list of don't fuck with me. Like, he has made it onto my don't fuck with him list. Also, I think Tempest would be a member of the Vanguard if the sword community formed a zombie apocalypse fighting team. I think the Vanguard of the... Like, if we formed a zombie apocalypse team, the Vanguard, which would be the frontline fighters, would be Tempest, me, and Joe. And then secondary guard would be Bird, Gargoyle, Eric. And then the third accompanying us would be Armored Sweatpants, Glenn. And Armored Sweatpants, Glenn. And I can't really think of any of our fellow. And Matthew Jensen and a few other of the Sword friends. What do you think of my lining? LOL, YouTube sortie. Thank you. We the Backsword Boys. If any of us form a band, we have to call it Backsword Boys. We all gotta sometime no better way to die than swinging. That just reminds me of the song. Sitting on the front porch in the swing, just a swinging. I'd be the sideline. Like, are we using football terms as sideline? Because I honestly do not know any football terms except for tackle, touchdown, and beat the shit out of the other guy. Leader. Carl, just for that, you get to be in the vanguard. It's like, get over here. But I don't want to. It's like, too bad. There's no cheerleaders, only sword swinging. All gotta die. Now, we all know the rules. Cut them, don't let them bite you. I'm gonna bite you too, Outlaw Granny. And I'm not scared of you. All you got is gums. So, meh. Because I can tell by the way you're talking. We go back and forth like this all the time. It's our play banter. No, seriously, if anyone touches her, they're going to die. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. They are dead. They are not seeing another sunrise. Because I got blades and I got a bloodlust. How do you know I know? Because you're just a sweet little old granny that beat me with a 2x4. Isn't rule in the vanguard no touching sword tips? LOL. I honestly don't get the whole no touching sword tips thing. What? Like, why would we even touch sword tips to begin with? The vanguard are the guys fighting on the front lines. Hi, Kingfisher. You missed Kriegsmesser versus Katana. You also missed judicial dueling and our little small sword rant. Firecracker, firecracker, sis boomba, Carl Ruger, rah rah. That's funny. That actually reminds me of a joke that my manager Roger told me back when I was working at McDonald's. He is an Army Ranger, and he told me, Charlie Tango, he says, because Charlie Tango is his nickname for me, and pretty much only a select few people get to call me that. It's like, it's an inunito. LOL, no touching sword tips, Kingfisher, hey, Kia. Seriously, guys, what is no touching sword tips here? This is the greatest. Wait, is that a reference to no touching dick tips? Hi, Bird. Hi, y'all. Because in that case, then no, we ain't touching sword tips. All right. But no. My manager, Roger, he told me, what happens when you put a bunch of white guys in a barrel? No. What happens when you give a white guy a torch? They become a firecracker. Ding, ding, ding. Gargoyle blades. Yeah, it took me because, in actuality, guys, this is something you probably don't know because I don't really say it a lot. I have Asperger's, which is a form of autism, which basically I don't really get social cues and I have a hard time in social situations. And before I met Roger, 6 foot tall, Army Ranger, black guy, like just painting a picture of him in your mind. But if I could take him and another guy I was working with, Josh at the time, and fuse them together, I would have had my dad. Roger was basically the same mindset as my dad. And between him and his helping me understand social cues, I've gotten a lot better. And the only part of working at McDonald's I miss is working with Roger. Because he was basically like a second dad to me. Now I feel kind of bad. Why, Tempest? You ain't done nothing wrong. I don't know why you're feeling bad. Hell, I make fun of myself all the time. I call myself a dumbass, an idiot, a fool, a moron. Shut up, you! It's all good, Outlaw. No, I really want to know what Tempest thinks he did wrong. None of y'all have ever done anything bad to me. Hell, aside from Geekopedia, I consider all of you my friends. Well, that should include Geekopedia. Actually, Geekopedia is my best friend. We're actually going to see Cocaine Bear tomorrow, which I probably should get some sleep. Otherwise, I'm going to be sitting in the theater like this. Alright, making sure I'm up to the comments. I completely forgot. Oh, yeah. I keep swinging this thing around. Like, y'all making me forget shit. I see your master plan is to have me ramble on like an idiot. Well, too bad it's working. It is not my problem. I know your evil minds. Look, unless you want to be on this live stream, stop making jokes at my expense. Do you have an expense? I'm gonna beat. Excuse me for a minute. Yeah, sometimes you find good people at workplaces. I used to install doors and windows with this guy who was super chill and taught me a lot. I'm going to say this. Before I met Roger, none of y'all would have liked me. I was a complete shithead, dick. And I know you could say, well, it's not entirely my fault because of my whole, having a hard time understanding social problems. And the reason wow, that was hardcore, Granny. Yes, Tempest, I know. She does this all the time. Little does she know that I can still just beat her with her own pillow. So, ha! I win! And nothing from the peanut gallery! But in any case, yeah, before I met Roger, none of y'all would have wanted anything to do with me. I look back at myself pre-Roger and I was like, man, just how much of a prick was I? I was always cracked. She's my family. She's naturally going to support me. But no, it's like, how much of a... Well, yes, I know you raised me. What's your point? You see what I have to go through, the psychological abuse? I'll show you, poor baby old woman. Oh yeah, Cocaine Bear is actually based on a true story. The short and simple version is these drug runners, okay, they look at each other like, Pablo, we're going to bring in a whole bunch of crack to the U.S. Okay, Jorge, we're going to Cheech and Chong this shit. So they're flying over. Pablo's like, oh, fuck, we need to dump the cargo. Cheech and Chong, what do you mean we have to dump the cargo? What are you putting on this plane? I thought you packed powdered sugar. I was like, yes, powdered sugar. Now help me dump all this powdered sugar out of the plane. So they dump all the cocaine out of the plane. And Pablo, Jorge, he's like, Jorge was the co-pilot. I'm using fake names to A, protect the real ones, and B, I don't know their real names. But Jorge, he's basically like, I don't know what happened, okay? Last thing I remember, he's saying we're transporting powdered sugar to like a Walmart in Cincinnati. So Pablo, he was a drug runner. He dumped the cocaine out. And this black bear found the cocaine. The hell was loosely based on a true story event? Well, the bear found the cocaine. He opened up the bag and he just started eating it. 100 pounds of cocaine. He says, yeah. I want that high. I always want to smoke. It runs 100 yards and dies of a heart attack. This is kind of like a comedy horror thing based off of that movie. The authorities found 147 kilos, 99% pure cocaine in the bear's stomach. Yeah, what's kilos? Hold on. As Roger would say, I gotta pull out my bitch. Here's my bitch. What is 149 kilos translated to pounds? Close enough. 149 kilos to pounds. Very loosely based, LOL, it's a kilo. A kilo is 2 pounds. Oh, fun facts, LOL. Not so fun facts. Well, not so fun facts for the bear, but fun facts for us because we can laugh at it. Like, Winnie the Pooh just goes over to Rabbit's. Oh, bother. Rabbit left his powdered sugar out. Oh, this is some good powdered sugar. Rabbit's like, no, Pooh Bear, that's not sugar. That's my happy time stuff. Which is more than enough to kill someone. It was apparently strong enough to kill a bear, so. Of course, the Vikings just did it with these, so. Vikings or cocaine, which are we going to go with here? 323. Oh, that's an acid trip from hell. I know a lot of people in Indiana that would kill for that. Or kill a smart elephant test. Or kill, Tempest, not test. Okay. Oh, small elephant. See, I can't even read. Roger definitely changed my life and made me a much better person than I am now. And he made me a lot more sympathetic. So I do owe a lot to him. And I have to stop before I start crying manly tears because of those damn onion ninjas. I read the story to kill like 10 bears. Really sad for the bear, which is more. Okay, so I'm all caught up. I read the story a few years back. Well, I didn't hear of the story about that whole cocaine bear thing until I was scrolling through YouTube and I saw a video based about it. And I'm like, this can't be real. This is bullshit. We all have to do it sometimes. Yeah, true, Gargoyle. Very true. I hate them damn onion ninjas. Yes, Carl Ruger. You're just sitting there watching a movie and the dog dies. I'm not crying. It's the Onion Ninjas. But that's a whole separate trauma for me. I had a dog buddy uh, who was dumber than a sack of rocks, but lovable as all hell. He was part wolf, part husky, part pit bull, part something else. You'd think he's the most savage thing on four legs. That dog was a 80-pound ball of fur baby. He was a puppy from the day he was born to the day he passed. And even now, do they make you cry yourself to death? No. I beat the Onion Ninjas before they have a chance. But seriously, my dog buddy thought he was an 80-pound lap dog, and for the longest time, I had a fear of dogs, even my own. I know that sounds... I watched the worst ninja movie ever, Ninja Commandments. It was so horrible, I had to watch all the way through. I can't avert my eyes. They're tearing out my eyeballs, but I cannot avert them. A friend of a friend died from cocaine a few years ago. Messed my buddy up pretty bad because they were best friends like 4 years old. Never thought he was into that. Some people can hide it. Some people can't, Kingfisher. You watched that? Gargoyle's just like, oh, you did not just watch that? No. My dog buddy, I finally conquered my fear because of him. And ever since then, I've loved dogs. And my dog, he died he died a few years ago. And to add insult to injury, it was like, I think either a day or a week past my 20th birthday. So he's been gone for about 3 years now. And even to this day, there are some movies, and there's actually the anime Bleach, episode 136 is always going to be stuck in my mind because I cannot watch that episode without crying my eyes out. Yeah. But I cannot watch certain, like, I don't even think I could make it through Old Yeller now. Before I watched Old Yeller, I was like, but now, like, remember, every dog dying reminds me of Buddy. I watched a short earlier of this guy. He made statues of people's dead dogs, and it almost like that. But let's bring this back to a happier discussion. Let's get back to swords and... Which episode? I think it was episode 136. It was definitely between episodes 140 and 130 and 140, somewhere in there. I always cry when Shishomaru gets beat by Inuyasha. Shishomaru more often deserves it. Okay? He was a selfish brat with entitlement issues. Inuyasha needs to beat him down. Hey, Carl, you getting more blades from Tater? Who's Tater? Bird, ha ha ha. No, Inuyasha, like, you kind of root for Inuyasha because unlike Shishomaru, who's shown to be an extremely powerful demon from the start, Inuyasha wasn't so powerful. I cry if I chip my sword, that's why I don't do that. Yeah, you can't always avoid that, Gargoyle. But yeah, like Inuyasha, he needs to beat down Shishomaru, okay? That's a thing that needs to happen because Shishomaru, he's basically all-powerful from the start of the series. Inuyasha isn't, and that's because he's only a half-demon. And Inuyasha's father knew that his demon blood was too strong for Inuyasha to withstand. That's why he gave him the Tensaiga, the sword of protection, to protect Inuyasha. And it's only through finally fighting Inuyasha at the very end of the series again does the Shishomaru realized that Inuyasha, this is your sword, this is your birthright, and honestly, Shishomaru has a sword that even made the creator of both Tenseiga and Tenseiga scared shitless, because Shishomaru basically has the power to revive an entire army of the dead back to full life. Okay, I became behind in the comments. That was when Shishomaru. Okay, I'm going to show that one. Oh, you getting some blades from Tater? I cry when I chip my blade. Kingfisher, I have a few from Tater. He's a good dude. Hi, Alex, me too. Nice. My tiger blood. Who is Tater? Is he like a custom smith or something? Show. I cry if I chip my blade. Why won't it let me show your comment, Tempest? Okay. My tiger blood. Okay. If y'all can see Tempest's thing about Inuyasha, it says his dad never loved him that way. He was such a jerk. Who, Shishomaru or Inuyasha? Because it was shown that he cared for Inuyasha's mother. And if you watch, I believe the third movie, Tempest, I don't know. Well, if you watch the third movie, I believe Inuyasha's father, when he was temporarily brought back from hell, I think he told Inuyasha and Shishomaru he was both proud of them. And it was even dropped hints by Totosai, Myoga, and pretty much everyone who served him. Oh, Shishomaru. No, from what I watched of Inuyasha, and I'm not doubting you, from what I've watched of Inuyasha, and from what Totosai and Myoga have talked about and revealed, it seems that Shishomaru's father, because if you watch the third movie, it expands on Inuyasha and Shishomaru's father's death before he died. Shishomaru says, I am Shishomaru, I have no one that I love, and his father's like, I see. I'm going to have to teach this boy the hard way. That reminds me of the Booty Warrior from the Boondocks. We can do this the easy way, or we can do it the hard way. And I see you chose the hard way. Yeah, Shishomaru had daddy. The third was favorite, but he gave Inuyasha more stuff, so he felt ignored. Granted, but again, that goes back to the power gapping. Shishomaru may have been the firstborn, but he was also a pure demon with an enormous amount of power in universe. Inuyasha was a half demon with nowhere near as much power as Shishomaru, so he kind of had to balance everything out. The reason Inuyasha was given the Tenseiga was to protect himself from his demon blood, as we saw in episode 32. I think if he had said he loved him, he might have been a little nicer. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, Shishomaru is definitely a tsundere. I mean, Tenseiga and Ren kind of helped him mature. And if you watch Yashahime, granted, this is completely legal, and I will fight you if you say this is wrong, bad shipping. Shishomaru and Ren, when she turns 18 years old, have 2 daughters together. Koga and Ren. And I'm not going to spoil anything from Yashahime. You got to watch that yourselves. But I will fight because I ship them. And if you really want to go into detail, in the time period Inuyasha was set in, the meritable age for women in that time period in history was 13 years old. So if Shishomaru had wanted, he could have got it on right there and it would have been legal in the time period that they were in. People forget that a lot of these historical periods, they're using the ages from those periods for marriage as well. I'm sorry, a lot of people left and were totally off script. Hey, y'all started this Inuyasha thing, okay? You, Bird, and me are all Inuyasha fanboys, so this easily could go off into a tangent. But the reason Inuyasha was given the Tenseiga was to protect him from his demon power, and to pretty much make him equal to Shishomaru, who later on got a sword even more powerful than Tenseiga, the Bakusaiga, Inuyasha's final act. Please stop talking about Viking. Please stop talking. Please stop talking about Vikings again. I'm not as knowledgeable as I am about Vikings as I am about Inuyasha. Though, I might make a very long Inuyasha video in the future because of this, but that's the least I'm going to say. The Viking, what I know of Viking history is that what we consider to be Viking warriors is not historically accurate. They would be Scandinavian warriors, because Viking is actually an action, not a thing. Hello, Tempest. But anyways, Viking is an action, not a thing. To Viking means to go out and pillage an area and bring back the spoils. It's basically the Scandinavian word for raiding. And the Vikings, when they would go out on these Vikings, what's the plural for Vikinging? I'm Vikinging today. Sorry. Need to wet my whistle with Canada Dry. I'm sorry, I apologize. Nah, it's all cool, Tempest. If you hadn't got me off the Inuyasha thing, I would have been rambling for like 20 minutes. I'm half Scandinavian of Norway, of northern Norway. So Kingfisher, if you ever decide to go out on a raid, I guess that would make you a Vikinging. Vikinging. What is the plural for Viking? See you, Carl. Night, Carl. Yeah, it's Carl. It's time for sleep. Work comes mighty early. Great episode, Outlaw. Later, everyone. And remember, no touching sword tips. Hey, I'm just going to say this. I think my sword tip is the biggest. Are we getting into a sword tip measuring contest? I can't do that with a straight. Don't know much about Europe, even though my family came from there. I raid for pizza. I will join your raid then, my Viking brother. To the Pizza Hut and the Big Red Liquor across the street. But yeah, plural for Viking. They would go on these Vikinging pillages. Sorry about that. They would go on these Vikinging pillages. They would bring back the spoils. And the people who went on these voyages are what we would associate with Vikings. Most Scandinavian people at the time period of the Vikings were simple farmers, craftsmen, and only the ones that went out on these raids were considered Vikingings. To Viking means to raid and pillage and bring back the spoils. LOL, John from RBA Katana tried to get into a sword tip measuring contest with me. Sent him measurements of my hands regarding suka size, and it turns out I have a small pinkies but large grip span relative. My sword is bigger than yours. Mine's sharper, though. I feel like we could have a whole secret conversation just about that. Like, if we all get together one day, it's like, this is our official language. The sword language. Language of the swordsman. Lewis Pop Whiskey. Papa Whisk. Hello, Lewis Papa Whisk or Pop Whiskey. Sorry if I butchered your name. I'm not good with spelling or reading. Maybe I am a Viking. Nah, Hi, Lewis. Or Lois. Is it Lewis or Lois? I really can't hear the pronunciation through the live stream, though. But yeah. And the Viking sword that we see like this, a lot of movies will believe that every Viking was armed with a sword like this. And I don't have a Viking round shield on hand. So my Japanese sun hat will have to do. It's still raid and not Viking. Well, actually, historically, I believe I learned this from Skull Gladiatoria and the Metatron, but Vikinging is the action of raiding, and Vikings are the ones who do the raiding. I'm not downing you, Tempest. I'm just saying what I learned and what I know. I have some Dane blood in me, Fisher. 1390s. Denmark is the furthest we can for sure trace it back. Though mom's side. Oh, we got some real Vikings up in here. We got Ulrich Husen and King Fisher, and I have a terrible Viking accent that I should probably stop trying to talk in. But yeah, Viking movies and stuff will have you believe that they were armed with the round shield. Nice 1600s Netherlands and my dad's side here. Oh, sweet. But yeah, Viking movies and media will have you believe that they were armed with big round shields and swords. The cinema where they stayed. But in actuality, most Vikings would not have been able to afford swords just because of materials, cost of making materials, the craftsmanship needed to make these swords, the labor and the cost of the sword itself and the final product. And like today, it's all a matter of quality and as much fanciness as you put into the blade. This was about $250 from Cold Steel when I bought it. I bought it through Cult of Athena. And by today's standards, it has very simplistic engravings and such. But here's the thing. By the 10th century, 11th century, 13th, even up to the 13th century standards, this would have been a nobleman's sword. This would have been the sword of a Viking lord or duke or a high-ranking Viking warrior. But by today's standards, it's pretty simplistic. Just put it on a CNC mill. In the old days, they actually had to physically go in and hand carve and engrave all the little nuances that you see on the sword itself. They couldn't just pop it on a CNC mill and burp, 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 done. My dad's dad came from Eastern Ukraine in the early 1900s. Italy as far back as it can. Go for my family. Sorry, the Canada Dry decided to fizz up in my mouth. For me, my family tree is kind of a mix. Oh, Tempest, I was just about to explain that. With my family, we have German, Irish, and Cherokee in our blood. And the Cherokee comes from my great-grandmother's side, who is an actual Cherokee half-breed. I think I said that in the last Samurai Night Live. An actual Cherokee half-breed. And, we have Irish and German in our blood as well. And I know what you're thinking. How can an Irish, German, Cherokee love katana? Well, I'm also apparently an otaku weeb. My real name is Japanese, and I don't have a drop of Japanese blood. Why won't you? There you go. All right. I don't know why I don't have any moderators set up, so I don't know why it's hiding a lot of the comments. Half-breed is usually an unflattering term, so be careful with that. Well, here's the thing. My grandmother will be the first one to call herself a half-breed. Isn't that right, Mama? Mama! Mama! Just a second. Mama! Come here. What? Just come here. What? Come here. Just a minute, y'all. Huh? Will you come here already? All right. Come in here.
I want to come in there.
Will you come in here, please? I got you. Will you come here? Just give me your hand. Oh, boy.
What?
Will you come here, Mama? Keep almost sticking out. It's not that bad with this one, Kingfisher. Come here in front of the camera.
What camera?
The camera I'm using for the live stream. Come on. Why won't you? Technology hates me. This way, Mama. Mindful of the blade. Alright.
What?
This is my Mama. Outlaw Granny. Look at the... And she'll be the first one to tell you that she's a half-breed.
I am.
See? A lot of the stuff I learned, and the reason half-breed falls so easily off my tongue is because of her. And you're a half-breed Cherokee, isn't that right, Mama? Well, tell them, not me.
Yeah.
See, they're saying hi, Granny.
Hi, Granny.
No, Tempest is saying hi, Granny. Everyone's saying hi to Outlaw Granny. A lot of the stuff I've learned about being Cherokee and stuff comes from her. And hence why half-breed flows so easily off my lips. I've always heard it my entire life because of her.
You what?
You always said, my mama was a Cherokee and my daddy was something and I'm a half-breed.
If you say so.
You see, now she's going to play dumb and forget. And make me look stupid.
Oh, poor baby.
I'll show you, poor baby. See, if anyone messes with her, they die.
This is my kid. Here he is.
I was using because Tempest told me to be careful with the term half-breed, so that's why I brought you on the live stream to explain why it's so easy for me to use the terminology.
Oh. I did a boo-boo.
You didn't do a boo-boo. That's just how you always raised and talked to me. Now if I can just find the... My laptop's about to die. I love using different swords and trying to figure them out and adopt katana techniques to them. Yeah. Well, Mama's going to go back to watching Heartland in the other room while I plug in the computer so it don't die. Like I said, I'm in the middle of cleaning my room, so it's a long process.
Well, there's
Yes, I know, Mama. Nice to greet you, ma'am. Keep this firecracker.
what?
He said, keep this firecracker in check.
What part?
Me. He's telling you to keep me in check. See, when I do stupid shit, she'll just laugh at me. She'll tell me this isn't going to work and this is a bad idea. And then I'm like, I'm going to prove you wrong. And then she's like, it didn't work. And shut up. And then she just laughs
Poor
at me.
baby.
I'll show you, poor baby. So yeah. I may be an introvert, but even I have interactions with other people. And if I can keep from hitting my ceiling again.
I raised you. That's why you're like you are.
See, she admits it. I'm the reason I am because of her. It's all her fault. So, we are now at 10:17 p.m. at night. So there's one last thing I can discuss, but it's pretty much a heated topic. And that is the also dreaded, unspoken topic of the internet, or at least with swords. Long sword versus katana. And I'm going to keep this short and to the point. I'm going to favor katana. And I know
Who are you talking to?
the live stream, Mama.
Who?
Live stream.
Who's that?
The people I'm talking to and making this video with live. As in it's happening in real time.
Oh. Be careful you don't cut your nose off.
I'm going to cut something off. Come on. I actually threw my fists with and for one of my best friends in high school, and to this day over the term half-breed or the N-word. Bunch of racist assholes where I live. Now, you see, when I use the half-breed term, an internal argument. When I use the term half-breed, it's more along the lines in the actual terminology of what it's used for, which is you are half of one ethnicity and the other half of another ethnicity. And like I said, it's all because of my grandmother that word just clicks off my tongue. I don't mean it in any offensive way.
Not so loud, please.
See what I mean? And Glenn, Swordford and Glenn, if you all haven't heard, his YouTube channel is actually called the Half-Breed Samurai. So here's a shout out for you, Glenn, from me. Go check out Glenn's channel. I thought it was a compliment twist like Half-Blood Prince. I've never actually seen that show, Half-Blood Prince. It's what you like when it comes to swords. My opinion, one isn't better than the other, and it's who is using it, what makes it useful. Yeah, oh yeah, I got you. And Glenn does get an exception. I mean, Glenn even said in the last live stream, he's, if I remember, half Scandinavian, half Japanese, right, Bird? If you're still watching. But yeah, I don't mean in any racial term. It's just something I grew up with and something that just clicks in my head without thinking. That was something that Roger helped me with a lot because, again, with the social cues and situations I'm in. But back to the important sword talk. So, I literally stabbed a piece of paper on my floor. Okay, yeah. LOKF. What's KF? Like Kentucky Fried Chicken? What's KF, Bird? Kentucky Fried Chicken? Because if that's the case, you forgot the C. Okay, it's KFC for a reason. Kentucky Fried Chicken. At least that's what I think of when I hear KF. I'm like, woo, we going to Colonel Sanders. Get some KFC. I will admit I am addicted to their gravy. Kingfisher, Abra. Sorry to hear that, Eric. I'm Kentucky Fried Chicken. Oh, Kingfisher. Okay. Sorry, Kingfisher. Like I said, in my mind, KF automatically translates to KFC, which is Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I am addicted to their gravy. And their mashed potatoes. And their macaroni. And their chicken. And their cakes. And the Mountain Dew Sweet Lightning. I may have a problem. If, like, this wasn't obvious, I may have a very severe problem. As in, I eat too much fried stuff and gravy dipped stuff and delicious stuff in general. But in any case, katana versus longsword. Now, I'm not going to say which one cuts better than the other. 3-piece biscuit, mashed potatoes, large Coke, please. Eric, I think you mean 5-piece biscuit, 2 orders of large mashed potatoes, and an 8-piece bucket, please, with a non-diet Coke. Unless that's your own personal order. In which case, you do you, dude. I'm going to do me, and that's going into a chicken-induced coma. Though for someone who likes fried chicken as much as me, I will admit I've never gone to Chick-fil-A. Mostly because they're expensive as shit. But I'm not going to say which one cuts the best or anything like that. It's what I would pick in a situation. Eric, in your opinion, does the wimpiness of the longsword make it cut less well versus katana? I don't know. You put anything in Eric's hands, apparently it cuts like a mother. Tempest? Okay, Kingfisher, you really getting this conversation going. All right. But it goes back to what I was talking about with the Kriegsmesser. And I guess a more accurate thing would be comparing Kriegsmesser to longsword. But it goes back to what I said with Kriegsmesser versus katana. Why it's hiding some of your comments from me. I need to figure out some way to remove that fucking moderation shit. Because I keep it 100% real. I want to see all the comments, good, bad, or trolly. Alright? But in any case, what analog was I going to use? Since these are both cold steels, I guess, not that I've noticed. Since these are both cold steels, we'll use these. And since they also have similar blade lengths. In fact, I think the Warrior O is just slightly longer than the Italian longsword. But What would I choose? Well, the longsword does have a few advantages over the katana in terms of its hand protection. These quillons provide more protection than the standard tsuba. The katana more of a dedicated, but the katana is more of a
Dedicated means devoted to it.
stupid voice search. The katana is more of a
I pulled up the latest for more of a dead. From
Shut up. The katana is more of a dedicated, but they both a little whippy when I slash watching my videos. Not much of any difference to me. I hate diet soda. Cut may not be angled as good, but as far as effectiveness, a cut is a cut. Well, you are true. Well, all you are true. What I'm doing is basically which would I take in a fight. Now, as I was saying, the longsword does have a lot of the same characteristics as the katana. It can be wielded one-handed, it can be wielded two-handed, but the longsword does have the advantage of these quillons, which this is probably going to hurt. If two blades were, and I'm not clashing edge on edge, I'm clashing flat to spine. If a blade was to come sliding down the sword, I have this quillon here to stop it from cutting my hand, and I could push off with the longsword and break the bind. The katana is not so lucky in that regard, because I only have this tsuba here to stop the blade from cutting my hand. It can easily just reach over and cut my wrist. Nice reason I ask is because my Jian is very rigid and for its size, and I think that helps a bit. My Hanwei Jian is no good because it's way too whippy. Can take some getting used to. Yeah, the Hanwei Practical Jian was made by Howard Randall, who is a Chinese martial artist. I don't have any Jian swords. I'm thinking about getting the Flying Phoenix from LK Chen, though. Fisher, my Ronin Yoromar 2 has the perfect balance between whippiness and rigidity. Well, there you go, Kingfisher. Get yourself a Ronin Model 2. Straight from the mouth of Eric Hussein. But while the longsword does have the advantage of more hand protection, in my hand, this particular longsword is not that good at cutting. It is a very much thrust-oriented sword. This is not a cut and thrust blade. This is more catered to the thrust than the cut. And in a fight, in a 1v1 fight, I'd want a blade that can do both. If the Italian longsword had a blade in similar shape to the Viking sword, then I would have chose the longsword, personally. Because that's a cut and thrust blade. You're welcome, Kia. I would like an LK Chen as well. Haha, we're all equal here. Yeah, the LK Chen Flying Phoenix or the Roaring Dragon. That's... I'm sorry, Kingfisher. I really am. Oh, that's going to be a meme for a while, I can tell. It looks like a Type 19, which is mainly thrust. Now, you see, I don't actually know what typology this longsword is. All I know is that it's labeled the Italian longsword. So, in a fight, I'd want a cut and thrust blade. And that's where the katana, for me, shines. Because you can thrust with a katana, and you can slash with a katana. It's short for Kingfisher Corporation. I thought it was short for Kingfisher Chicken. Okay, if you start an actual fast food chain, you need to call yourself Kingfisher's Chicken Hut and sell chicken and pizza. Cold Steel does that a lot. But yeah, if I'm in a fight, I'd want a cut and thrust blade. Now, if I wanted a cut and thrust blade that offered the same hand protection as the katana, then it all reverberates around back to the Kriegsmesser, because it is a cut and thrust sword, but it also has a lot, even more hand protection than the longsword. 18 is a great cut and thrust option. I'm going to have to take a look for a Type 18 then, Tempest, because I have the Quillen here, I have a Quillen here, and I have this Noggle, which the Noggle protects the knuckle side of the hand, and if you do it right, you can catch a blade with the Noggle and push it off. So it all reverts back around to using this Kriegsmesser in a 1v1 fight. Chicken, huh? But we only sell pizza and beer, also euros. As long as you have a chicken euro and a chicken pizza, we all good. My Condor Grossmesser is a beast, 4mm thick, no distal taper at all. Would like to get a Grossmesser. Well, this isn't a Grossmesser. This is a Kriegsmesser. I'm learning how to make sushi so I can start my new business, Samurai Bird, Sukamaki, and Sushi Roll. Hey, I'd eat some bird sushi. But this is a Kriegsmesser, not a Grossmesser. And I honestly don't know the difference, but I believe that the Kriegsmesser, I think the Grossmesser has rings on both sides, and the Kriegsmesser only has a Noggle. LOLSB. Okay, this time I know it's Samurai Bird and not Sushi Broker. Oh, damn it, I did it again. But hey, guys. Sushi is easy to make, LOL. Okay. Yeah. And this one is actually pretty affordable. It's the Cold Steel model, which you can get at Cult of Athena. And Cult of Athena also has a payment plan where you can put a down payment on the sword. You'll order the sword, they'll ship it to you, and then over the next 6 weeks, you'll make over the next 2-week period, you'll wait a week, you'll wait 2 weeks, make a payment, wait 2 weeks, make another payment, and over the course of those 4 payments, you'll pay off the sword. For lunch and get your suka wrapped while you wait. Kriegsmesser means war knife, Grossmesser means big knife. Some of both have rings depending on the maker. Exactly, KFC. Okay. Well, there's your difference for you. Eric and Tempest cleared up my miscommunication. But there's the thing. There are 2 things that I need to warn you all if you're going to go to Cult of Athena to buy this. Gross is usually a bit small but has a thicker blade. Okay, thank you, Tempest, for clearing up that misconception. But there is something I need to warn you about if you're going to buy this specific sword from Cult of Athena. And that is 2 things. 1, this thing will rust like a bitch. Alright? I will 3 days, like 2 days after I got this sword, I saw a little rust. No biggie. Took 600 grit, took it off. Next day, more rust. Next day, more rust. And I was like, okay, I'm getting tired of cleaning the rust off. So if you notice, I blackened this blade myself. This is not from cold steel. I blackened this blade myself because I got bloody tired of cleaning rust off of it. The second thing I need to tell you about this particular sword is it does not come with a sheath or scabbard. The blade will come to you exactly like this out of the box minus the bluing. No sheath, no scabbard. I do not know if Cold Steel has remedied this or not, but I got this, I assume, pretty early on in its release. So it did not come with any kind of sheath or scabbard. Does that one have distal taper, Outlaw? It does, actually. Just to make this easier to see, I will switch to the inferior non-American measuring system. That at this point sounds like I'm insulting non-American measuring. All right, Eric, at the base of the blade, it is 6.5 millimeters thick. Halfway up the blade, it tapers to 4.6 millimeters thick. 3/4 of the blade, it tapers down to 4.2 millimeters. And at the very tippy tip, it tapers down to 2.2 millimeters. Though I am American, so it's probably in my nature to call non-American units of measurement inferior. And what's the point of balance? You're at LOL, got a patch on one mine, no big deal. I thought the bright orange was funny. That is all. Well, if you're talking about just a minute. Where are you? No. Okay. Technical difficulties. Huh. That's some technical difficulties. Benjamin. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm caught up with the comments. The bright orange you're talking about is the sheath I made. This was the only duct tape I had at the time. And the point of balance from the guard is okay. My dumbass forgets I have a tape measure in my sword repair kit. Eric, I'm pleased to tell you that the balance appears to be about 4.5 inches from the guard. So just under 5 inches. Need to see pool noodles cut with that too. That would be. Well, it just so happens I have means of doing that. I really dislike pool noodles. Why do you dislike pool noodles, Gargoyle? Can you not cut them? Playful banter. Oh. I'm turning this bastard off. It is a great sword. I just lost the whole messer. How did I lose a whole creek? I think I'm going blind. Right? 2, 1. Well, I'd say that was pretty successful. No, she knows I do stupid shit like this. As long as I don't make a huge noise, she pretty much doesn't check on me. But yeah. I'd say so. Very definitely a pool noodle cutter. Pick up my scabbards. I initially started cutting pool noodles just to get my edge alignment down. Then it just snowballed from there. I definitely want one of those creates messes now. Well, like I said, you can go to Cult of Athena and buy one. There's just 2 things you'll need to keep in mind, Eric. The rusting and the lack of sheath. So I definitely... cutting and sword, Outlaw. Thanks, Kingfisher. So, Eric, I definitely suggest getting your hands on some of this. This one bottle is all you'll need to do, is all you'll need and then some to blue it to the level I did, which isn't very deep. I just basically did it enough to put a patina on it. Oh, there you go. Samurai Bird likes them. But you may want 2 or 3 of these super bluing bottles to get the blue, to get a deeper level of bluing, because you're supposed to submerge the thing and let it sit. I didn't. I just used a paintbrush. It's just I haven't been able to cut for almost 2 months because of really bad weather, so I'm getting cranky. How much are they? I'm good at on the bluing. I just want to cut all up. Well, Eric, I will answer your question post haste. As soon as my phone decides to work with me.
Like this horse is a hugely successful jumper. He's probably worth hundreds of thousands
All right. On Cult of Athena, as of this moment, it is $389.95. For the Cold Steel Creek's Master Sword, again, is $389.95. If you use the Sizzle payment plan like I do, then that is $97.49 on a 8-week payment plan. So every 2 weeks you make one payment of 4 total. Of course, this is before tax and shipping, by the way, just to let you know. So you might be paying about 4 installments of $102 each over a bi-weekly period until it's paid off. And you can reschedule your payments if you have to, Eric. Just letting you know in advance. And y'all can look forward to some videos with the spring soccer in it. Well, that was horrible. Every day, no matter what, I make at least one cut with a katana, see if it's just a floating piece of phone book paper in my room. This is the way. Oh yeah, I'm all about the sizzle and PayPal involvement. Softens the blow. But what did you guys think of me making this with the spring sakura? Because I'm just... This is basically just turning into a deli slicing video. Pardon me. Yeah. End of winter allergies. A sword room, but it's not as satisfying as a good hard bottle, durable or whatever. Gotta agree with Kingfisher. But yeah. What was I even doing? Oh yeah. I guess more cutting. Gotta love cutting videos. All these little discs that I just made. Well, they're about the same price as... I have to be careful since we have cat, or they'll be half cats. Sorry about the mess in this corner. I'll just use the winter sun. My sword gets temperamental after I don't cut for... The spirit of the blade demands to cut things, Tempest. Now that I've put some weight. I'm going to be making a better pool noodle stand. I just haven't had the opportunity yet. These are great for just cutting inside. You don't need a lot of room as long as your blade is sharp. Plus, they don't really they don't get moisture or anything on your blades. Of course, I left the siren stand. Come on, work with me. Stupid Buddhist prayer beads. Ah. Actually, Eric, I sharpened that myself with, damn it, the good old work sharp.
What happened?
I dropped my sword maintenance kit. Luckily, nothing spilled out of it. So, yeah. This is the sword maintenance kit with the work sharp belt, honing compound, where I keep all my sword honing tools, like my calibers and my work sharp. And outside just brings it all together. And I tell you what, it's definitely getting hot in here. Thanks, Eric. Though, now I'm curious, can my Viking sword with the edge that I sharpened do the same? See? Well, it did it, just not as cleanly. Nick the PVC of the stand there. Where did the scabbard for this thing go? I'll have to look for the scabbard for that after I get done here. Maybe I should do live cutting videos more often. Let's see here. Wario time! Okay, yeah, to get through these pool noodles with the Wario, I definitely have to be outside. So we'll just go back to the Dragon Key. Yeah, I think I have earned the title of Pool Noodle Ninja. What do you think, Eric? It's in the stand.
Dude, what? Would you please be a little more quiet?
Trying. All right. All right. Yeah, we've been on for quite a while now. 2 hours and 24 minutes. Yeah, I gotta go to. Good show, CD. Yep. Thanks all of y'all for tuning in. So until next time, Outlaw Samurai tells all y'all, be crazy rednecks, be safe and use your weapons. I'm out. Peace. And Eric, why not? Let's have a friendly video challenge to see who can do the better pool noodle. I challenge you to a pool noodle cutting contest. 5 noodles with almost flamboyant cutting ability. And anytime. All for fun and games. Get a little competition going. Right on, y'all. See y'all later. All right. So, as I said, goodbye, my noble band of outlaws. Look forward to the next episode of Outlaw Samurai, the Outlaw Samurai Show, which I will post updates for in advance before the shows. I'm out. Peace.
I was going to let us step out, but we weren't expecting 3 days.